Welcome, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 175, and the first one for 2025. Happy New Year to all of you. We are live most Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central Time, and you can go to Qnity.com to register. We're also available on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments, and regardless of how you're joining us, we're glad you're with us today. A light bulb moment is a sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. So hopefully today in these sessions, spark some new ideas and actionable thoughts, data, etc., as we explore several really cool themes on this forum. At Qnity, we're here to take you from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a clearer path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life, which are attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. Submit a light bulb moment of your own. Feel free to use the chat if you're with us live today. Use email or certainly post a comment if you're watching the YouTube or listening to the podcast. So we love getting comments, and we love hearing your light bulb moments. So feel free to use the whatever form based upon how you're experiencing this session today. Today, our guest will be Jared Sanders, the CPA, a partner at one of the two principals and main partner at Lightheart Sanders. Boy, I stumbled my way through that easy introduction. Jared really has been a great partner of ours, and he has been immersed into the 2024 Salon P&L benchmark study. So we are beginning a series today that really unpacks the P&L study that we performed over the last 6 months. So we'll invite Jared to the camera and mic very soon here. Check out recent episodes. The last episode we had towards the end of December was with Luisa Garcia, who's the owner of Soleil Salon and Spa. And it really was how she's partnering with the university and how she is moving forward with her business, getting some unique support. And then also we looked at a certain scenario that she's in as she's evaluating a decision for her business. Great episode with Luisa. Luisa is a regular on Lightbulb Moments, and you'll want to check that episode out. Lightbulb Moments is proudly sponsored by Lightheart Sanders, and we have a new sponsor for this year, and that is Qnity. So we'll be welcoming Qnity as a sponsor throughout the year. So thanks to these two companies for helping to make Lightbulb Moments possible. Also check out Money 02, which is a podcast series by Aaron Kuhn-Bensali. Great money stories. We announced recently the 2025 theme for the Phil, and it is play. We're super excited about the theme at the Phil this year, which is May 18th through 20th in Austin, Texas. Again, in partnership with the University of Texas. And what this will happen, or what will look like this year, is we're going to bring some very unique experience and gamification and ways to really consume and experience ideas and collaboration and content through an environment that really fosters tactile learning and play and expression. So it's definitely a new theme for us. Every year we have a new theme, but this one promises to alter the content and alter the conference more than any other in the past. Last year was a big alter of the format by introducing the University of Texas, which will continue again this year, but we always like to layer something new. So anyway, we have the highest registration we've ever had at this point for the conference. You're going to want to register for this. It's coming up in May. First quarter calendar, I'm going to take you through just what's going on for us. Serious Business is coming up on January 12th through 13th. If you are listening to this live, and it's prior to that, Qnity does have a dinner on Sunday night. And if you have not gotten an invitation, it probably means you're not on a list or something like that. But if you are interested in being part of that Serious Business and you're free, put something in the chat. You can reach out to a member of our team about getting an invite for the, I don't know what annual. I'll tell you this, it's the longest continuous large group dinner at Serious Business. It's probably been going on at least 10 years. Also, we have going on in Dominican Republic. Aaron's going to be going to a Davines event. We also have in Philadelphia a special session that is multi-location owners. It's a version of our execution, January 27th through 28th. We are starting a virtual execution group February 17th. And then we will have a series of workshops in Austin, Texas, the beginning of March. We'll have Succession on March 2nd, Profit on March 3rd, and Growth on March 4th. I will be part of the March 2nd and 3rd programs, along with Heath Smith for Succession and Candice Gliato for Profit. And Growth will be Candice Gliato and other members of our team. In March, we're also going to be putting together another Succession group. That would be a private group. We're in one right now, and what's happening with that group is phenomenal. We're getting such great progress. We also have an execution workshop coming up in Minnesota at the beginning of April. And then, of course, we have the Phil in May. For those of you that we work with actively as clients, remember we have Monday noons, which are happening once a season. You should have that calendar by email or whatever. And we'll also have function forums that dive deep into between marketing, operations, human capital, and education. I might have missed something there. Anyway, function forums. My light bulb moment this week, before we get to Jarrett, is really a bit of a week in review. I'm sorry, a year in review. And looking back and looking ahead a little bit, I'm just going to take a couple minutes before we invite Jared to the conversation about the P&L study. So really starting out with Qnity's core values, which really are impact, respect, community, integrity, and then opportunity. We also look at opportunity as growth. Impact is the one that leads the list, and I think it's appropriate once a year just for us to reflect for a moment, not in a congratulatory sense, but just in an acknowledgement sense of the work that we're all doing together in this community. The Lightbulb Moments community, the client community, the partner community. We have multiple communities, hence the value of community being in our top 5. But I want to go through some of the impact areas from the prior year. We went through a full team meeting yesterday where we dove deeper in a lot of these areas. So I'm just going to do a very top line looking at the different ways that Qnity interfaces with the marketplace, starting with Qnity for Schools. We are now up to over 176 campuses in only 3 years. We've taken over 50,000 students through a financial literacy program, which means they're entering the workforce with a higher likelihood that they're going to stay in the workforce because they understand money. They also understand that they're accountable for their own success and so many other things. So many reasons why this benefits the entire ecosystem. And I'm super proud of the work that's being done by the school team, led primarily by Aaron, and then Marie from our team. So as well as Lisa and Corinne and many, many others that we work with, including 26 ambassadors that work at schools that we work with. And so now, something else that I think is super fun about Qnity for Schools is we had a 9-grid contest, and oh my gosh, the art that came out of this was phenomenal. And really just great stories about people's path through life, and what financial literacy looks like for them and what their wants are and needs. And so this contest drew some tremendous participation. You can check it out on the Instagram, Qnity for Schools Instagram, to see some of this fabulous work. Coming in the 3rd quarter this year is we're going to do another update of Money EDU, which is the course for students. We're going to make it even fresher and more contemporary for this generation of students. Qnity Institute, this is the data part of what we do. So I think a highlight for last year that is bleeding into this year, in fact, it's probably going to dictate a lot of conversations we have in the 1st quarter, was really an unprecedented salon P&L benchmark study. We had tremendous participation, over 69 enterprises, 153 locations, and over $500 million of revenue that we just did in partnership with Lightheart Sanders and Jarrett, as well as we had some great sponsors that got behind this study. So You will see, like I said, this come into 2025 a little bit more. We also completed and issued the final report for a 2024 salon chain compensation study with only over 25,000 W-2s and over $800 million in compensation, which takes us further closer to the truth about how much people actually make in the professional beauty industry. Once again, shattering some of the myths and some of the numbers that are being published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you're interested in getting that study, we have released it. We've released it with our partner in this project, ISBN, and the participant, and it'll soon be available to our general ecosystem. 2025 studies, we are going to go deeper into non-service payroll as an extension of the P&L study. We have a study in progress that we're partnered with an organization that specializes essentially in career colleges called CQ. And we have a project which we're not as involved with as Qnity. It is through the Qnity Institute, but it's primarily led by data scientists from University of Texas. We're also going to get into the study of staff retention, looking primarily at why people stay at their jobs, not so much why they leave. And then we are going to take a peek and say, what will it look like to do a full-scale study to understand solo compensation, which is a mountain of effort, especially it's a mountain of effort to do any of these studies, but that one is a head scratcher. So I think what we'll do this year is at least see what it would take to get some meaningful data out of it. Qnity for Business. This is really where we interface with most of the marketplace. We've established some great partnerships, and we really want to celebrate the vast number of partnerships that we have, and they continue to grow. There'll be some more announced very soon here. But we very much celebrate partnerships with Paul Mitchell, Wella, Veda, Kevin Murphy, Bumble, Moroccan Oil, and then tech companies, Zenoti, Boulevard, Rosie, Forest Salon, Bismevo, and Square. They've all been great partners, and we appreciate them. And I think that's a big success for last year, is providing a lot of opportunities for our clients and our ecosystem to interface with the best brands, whether it's beauty or tech. Launching in 2025, we're going to create another owners group, which is a group of owners that work together. Our group size right now is 8. We're going to be starting another group. I think it's in the spring. And to help a group together go through and more intentionally come up with a winning succession plan based upon a time frame and all the things that work with each of the individuals. So we have 8 really great owners in that group right now. We're going to be starting a new group, and it's an emerging owners group. So this will be serving owners that are relatively new as owners, new as entrepreneurs, and they can learn a lot from the current owners. They can learn a lot from a lot of other areas, but to actually connect with others that are at the same point in their career where they're a relatively new owner, family business or not, there's a lot that goes into it, whether it's financial management, dealing with staff. And so we're going to be sending out some invitations, but if you know of anybody that's interested in being part of this group, certainly let us know. Growth for teams, we're going to bring back our team program. It's taken a little bit of a hiatus, but led by Candice Gliato, will be available to come into your business and teach your team growth, specifically how to grow top-line sales through training tools and practices. Qnity on the road is something new. We've got several ambassadors. These are just some of our best clients and friends that want to bring Qnity into their local area. So we're making that available in some on-site work called Qnity on the road regionally throughout the country. We're piloting that at the beginning of the first quarter, and then you'll see more and more of that throughout the year. And then finally, we're going to be launching something like now called Qnity Multi, which is multi-location destination. It is what's next from the creators of 2 to 10. So we've had a very exciting year, and we have a lot of great things coming up here. And I'm really proud of the Qnity team for everything that they've done. It's a small, hardworking team with a lot of smart and heart. And what we accomplished with a small team is something I'm very, very proud of. And I'm thanks to all of you for whatever your role is of Qnity. So with that, let's get to our guest, Jared Sanders. Jared, why don't you come to the mic and why don't you come on camera? Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Tom. How are we doing?
Good. Well, here we are, the beginning of the year, and we we are at the point with the P&L study where we'll call it, I guess, if we look at this in actual steps, I think we're at step 4 out of 5 right now, right? And that's a big milestone. So today, what we want to do is just give people a little bit of a preview of what we will be covering. We have to be careful in terms of what we share because we don't want to publish numbers that will change significantly. Why we don't think they're going to change significantly, we're going to refrain from sharing a ton of our findings today and direct you to some episodes later in the month where we're going to do more of a full reveal. Sound good, Jared?
Sounds great.
So you agreed to undertake this project and you were the linchpin on this because 10 years ago, no, was it 10 years ago? Maybe 8 years ago was the last time we did a P&L study. And I said it'd be a long time before we did another one because at the time, number one, the numbers weren't changing very much from year to year. And number two, the collection process, the process of consistency, making them apples and apples is enormous. But a couple things changed. Number one is the numbers have changed a lot since we took a break. And number two, you are willing and able, and you're also the only one I know in this space that has done other P&L studies because you did it in the school industry. So I want to thank you publicly, and I think this would be a great time if people would be kind enough to give him a little bit of a shout out because he has really been a little bit of an unsung hero behind the scenes. So Jared, thank you for all your hard work. It's not an easy thing to collect profit and loss statements, to do all of the standards that you adhere to as a CPA and confidentiality and ethics and all of that. And then meanwhile, get through all the other work that you're doing. So big shout out to you.
Thank you. You know, when you brought it up last year about, hey, we're thinking about doing it, I was like, oh, that's going to be super easy. That won't be too bad. And man, it was a lot more than what I expected just in terms of the overall project itself and getting to where we have numbers that we feel confident in and stuff like that. It's been a great process for us as well. So super excited to be involved. It's been a fun project. It's way better than auditing and dealing with that side of the business and stuff. So it's been fun. And I'm excited about the potential results that we've got.
So let's unpack a little bit about the process today without boring people into unnecessary details. So essentially, first of all, there's a ton of outreach to get people to participate, and we do a lot of that at Qnity. But then they submit the numbers directly to you. They actually take a survey, and then they upload a file directly to your portal. So there's the collection process. You want to talk about that one for a moment?
Yeah, so first step was just trying to gather specific data points and just really trying to understand who is submitting the data and the unique things about that. Being able to identify and know, like, is it multi-location, single location, where in the country, and then just kind of the details, a little bit of the details about the company itself. Then allows us to also then collect the P&L so that when we go to the P&Ls, we have a little bit of an understanding coming into it. And then the second process is applying that grouping methodology. So, everybody's income statements, profit and loss are unique to them. Most owners have adapted and developed their P&Ls to allow them to manage their business. And that's the number one reason for doing accounting, right? Is to make sure that you're getting information to make good choices and decisions. But because there's a lack of a standard in the industry of here's what a profit and loss statement should look like for a salon, the first step is just taking the existing data, or the second step is to take that data and to group the accounts into a formalized process or a formalized P&L so that we're grouping and applying and looking at things when when we do our comparative studies that we're actually looking at apples to apples.
Okay. So step one, you just got to get the numbers, make sure that, there's no mechanical issues getting the numbers, attach the, make sure the names match and all that stuff. And then number two, you mentioned was the groupings, and really big opportunity in the industry. It's been this way forever. It's one of the very few industries that doesn't have a consistent, published, standardized way of reporting financials, a big issue that no one talks about. So we have to go through a lot of extra groupings just to make sure we've got apples to apples. All right, then let's go through step number three, which is really about looking at errors and outliers and that kind of stuff. Just a quick moment on that one.
Yeah, so I mean, once we've grouped everything together, then we take a look at it and we're stepping back and saying, okay, are there any that are out of whack? You know, if everybody's consistent along one line in terms of a percent, and then somebody has a really high percent that's in a specific count or something like that, it's really just to give us a better confidence level that the information that we're looking at is consistent and stuff like that, or at least if it is high or low compared to everybody else, we feel fairly confident that that actually is the truth, right? So it's a confidence check to be able to make sure and help us to feel like, okay, yeah, we've got reasonably good numbers.
Yeah, I mean, some examples of that is, a company that maybe didn't use a normal line item on the P&L that would be significant. For example, didn't break out labor between service and non-service payroll. Those are some examples of some of the information we might get. Is that correct?
Yeah, yep. So just identifying if they've grouped them on their P&Ls in a tighter grouping or without detail, or making sure that it's also a check on us to make sure that we've grouped accounts properly as well.
So then step four would really be where we're at right now, because I think we're pretty much through the outliers and the missing pieces of information. We had one company, we only had one of the 2 years, so on and so forth. And so we're really at the next step, which is really analysis. And analysis has actually happened throughout the whole process, but it can't be complete until you get through all the other steps. So a little bit about the analysis.
Yeah, so really just kind of stepping back and saying, okay, what are the numbers telling us? Does this match the narrative that we're seeing on our clients and stuff like that in terms of the pressures or the different pain points? Have the numbers changed? So we looked at the prior study, the one 8 years ago, as a here's where it used to be. What does it look like now? What are those changes are? And making sure then we ask why, like, does that make sense? And does that fit what we're seeing people experience?
So then the final step really is also starting to happen right now, and it's happened throughout the process, but it doesn't get finalized until all the other steps are there. But that's the insights, and the insights at time, it goes beyond analysis because it's essentially taking the analysis and making sense out of it. And so the insights, and here's where we're bringing in Matt Kerwick, our analyst at U Texas that we work with. He's been in the wings and now he's jumping in. And so this is where we're going to be seeing a lot more, a lot more that will be relevant for everybody. So anything about the insights?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about getting information and saying, therefore what, right? Like, okay, I now know this. What does that actually mean, and how can I apply it to the business, right? Like, so what can we learn about this? Does this and once we know, okay, hey, this is some of the pressures and stuff like that people are dealing with, and it makes sense on the financials, then we can start talking about, okay, what's our game plan to attack it and to tackle it.
All right, let's go through just some of the overall participation here. So I'm very, very happy with the participation and where we landed with 532 million of revenues represented by this group over these 2 years. So it's over $500 million. So 153 locations. What was it? 69 enterprises? Is that what it was?
Yep, 69 companies.
and 5,200 employees. So it's a pretty good, solid sample size to be able to be doing a lot of different things. Any comments about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a good spread. I feel like it's given us a good presentation of the industry itself, and I think we've got a lot of great participants.
There is something that you and I have discussed, Jared, and I think that it's important for everybody to understand this, is that the question is this representative of the industry? And yes and no. I
Mhm.
think it is definitely representative of the industry because it's about as gritty as the data as you can get coming right out of the P&L as opposed to a survey or something. So it is representative in the sense that we know the data is good. Is it representative in the sense that is it more likely for a little bit more of a sophisticated salon to participate? Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's going to be a lot of salons that don't even know how to send an Excel file, whatever. So, comments about that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it is important, when we're talking about participants and then applying it across the board, that we do make sure that we emphasize, most of the people that participated, 100% of them have an accounting system, have it set up. They're doing a good job of their bookkeeping itself and capturing and collecting that data, but also the mindset, right? So those that submitted and participated, they're the salons that are wanting benchmarks, wanting to be able to plan their business and stuff like that. So you do have to kind of separate and say that these are people, these are entities, companies, salons that are looking for this information and stuff like that, that are not doing what I call management by bank balance, which is how am I doing is solely based on whether or not there's money in the bank or not. And so that's I think we have a higher sophistication or an intentional in terms of the participants and their accounting than we necessarily would to just simply say, okay, hey, this represents the full beauty and wellness industry.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Okay. I'm just wondering how many clients, it's probably about 5 million clients represented in this, I'm going to guess. Client visits, excuse me. All right. So one of the things that we're just going to do this briefly and then we'll wrap up today, but to set a context for those that will have a deeper dive into this, it's important for us to break out profitability, which is what we teach in our course. And it's also something you practice in your firm when working with clients, is to really separate net operating profit and net income. Jared, it's on the screen, but do you want to kind of walk through the difference of net operating profit and net income?
Yeah, so really net operating profit is driving down to essentially the results of the business itself. So we're trying to pull out and exclude those items that are unique to individual businesses or are more of an elective. And so gift card adjustments, interest income or expense, officer expenses, the extraordinary items and depreciation, those are all items that those amounts can be pretty unique to the specific entity. If you have a lot of equipment purchases and stuff like that, that's going to fluctuate your depreciation expense. So it's going to affect your net income. But to be able to really kind of say, here's from an operational standpoint, what the operations generated in terms of a profit is the net operating profit. So that's why we look at those two, because there is those items that you've got there that we've listed out are really unique to the individual. So you can't just say, hey, we would expect owner officer or officer expense to be a specific percent of revenue, because there's officers that are behind the chair. There's people that take more money out based on their profitability and different things. So it allows us to kind of really hone in on how well is the business, the salon itself, operating in terms of its generating profit, and then from a company standpoint.
Yeah, a couple comments that really should actually say owners compensation as opposed to officers expense, because it could be an officer of the business that would be more in the section above. I mean, that really should be owners compensation, which really does fit in that category. The other reason really to separate these two is net operating profit is pretty close to what's known as EBITDA. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That was a mouthful, which is important for valuation purposes and other reasons. So pretty common to do more of an EBITDA and a net income measurement. All right. So what we'll be going through, and this will feel like a little bit of a tease to the group here, but we don't want to flash incorrect numbers. We'll be showing 2023 average net income and net operating profit. We'll also be going through service payroll and rent, and we'll also compare what they were the last time we did this type of study and how they compare to the published benchmarks. Marketing and education spends. Let's spend that one for a moment. I mean, one of the things that we've noticed, Jared, is that there is a bit of a shift in spending. So let's say profitability. If we look above profitability, what happens above profitability and the spending, there's been a big shift there. Marketing and education will kind of give a heads up to the group there. There's been a shift in those areas, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a reflection of two things. I think as people are looking at it and trying to determine if you're going to cut costs, where would you cut costs? But also, I think just in terms of the change, marketing is much more organic. It's digital. It's less print and stuff like that. So the shift in how things, education, kind of the same way. Like I don't think that the education efforts in salons are decreasing, but it's how those are getting funded and whether or not companies are choosing to invest funds in it or seeking other opportunities to get the education without incurring the costs.
I kind of skipped over service payroll, but there's definitely been changes in that area that will come out in the report. Rent, we didn't see a lot of changes in. Average revenue per foot, we'll be publishing a number there and be updating past data on that, which average revenue per foot has been in the high 400s to almost 500. So we'll be publishing that. Non-service payroll, we've already sort of tipped our hand on this in previous episodes that we've seen a lot of movement in that, and which is why we're going to do a follow-up study specifically digging one level deeper into non-service payroll, because right now we don't really have it broken out between desk managers, resource center if it's multi-location. Professional supplies will be reporting on revenue by service provider. And then what we will be doing is identifying, this is going to be really cool, is what's different about the top performers. Do they give us really a glimpse of things that really matter the most to put you in that top 15? So, and then finally, we'll be doing some trends between the different years. And so we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be sharing in the future here, Jared, right?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's I think there's a lot of great data that's coming out of it, and I think a lot of people will feel a lot better about the narrative, right? Like what they're experiencing in the weeds of the salon business is now we're starting to see the numbers are really reflecting that. And so I think it'll probably give people a lot of confidence in what they're experiencing to know like, okay, yeah, like instead of trying to like fit back into the 2012 or 14 mode and model, like we need to be able to adapt and adjust and really change our perceptions and expectations on what that really looks like. So I think it'll be I hope that it'll be enlightening, but also give people confidence that, yeah, I'm not completely off my rocker, that I have this slightly different reality than what it was back in the prior study.
Jared, thank you so much. Everybody give Jared a virtual round of applause. You're going to get another one of these $1 million light bulbs. And, you know, thanks for being such a great partner in the project. Thank you for also sponsoring Lightbulb Moments and for being just a general good guy.
Thanks, Tom.
Everybody. All right, guys, we are off next week. I have a out of country wedding that I'm going to. And so we will miss you next week, but we'll be on the week after that, and we will continue and carry on into a great year. So let me see if there's anything I forgot today. Yes, there probably is, but that's okay. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks to Jarrett. And for those of you that participated in the P&L study, another big shout out. Thank you for that. I think you're going to find the information as well worth it, and scorecards should be ready later this month. And once again, thanks to our sponsors, Lightheart Sanders and Qnity. We'll see all of you very soon. Thank you. Bye.